Hey guys, and welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary and it's time for a species spotlight. This week I'm going to talk to you about a really cute little gourami, the sparkling gourami, or Trichopsis pumila. They are pretty darn tiny at just over an inch, and what's really cool about them is that they make noise. So let's take a closer look and I'll tell you more about them. You can see that these guys come by their name honestly. Sparkling gourami describes them well with that beautiful spangling on their sides. When they're in breeding dress, their fins get edged in red and the blue intensifies on their body. Only getting about 1.4 inches, these guys are a super peaceful addition to a nano community tank. You would want to keep them with other small peaceful species, Boraris, coolie loaches, petroichthyes like the rosy loach, trigonostigmas like SP rasboras or glowlight rasboras, or even fish like Sundadanio. They are a micropredator in the wild. They have a very tiny mouth. I would expect them to readily predate on baby shrimp, though with the size of their mouth they would not do much damage to any adults. They readily take frozen, live, or dried foods in the home aquarium. And I find them to be really inquisitive, interesting fish. They're pretty difficult to sex. The only way to really know for sure is when they're in breeding dress, as the males get significantly brighter and anecdotally are supposed to have longer finnage. It can be really hard to tell until they're at full sexual maturity, which these guys are not quite there yet. Now, when they do breed, they do that typical sort of sea embrace where the male wraps around the female and they release milk and eggs that are sort of in a packet. And previous to spawning, the male will have made a bubble nest up at the surface of the aquarium, either using plant leaves, or you can use a piece of a styrofoam cup or a lid or anything like that to give them appropriate spawning material. And he will take those packets up to the nest where he'll guard them. And if any of the eggs fall out, he'll pick them up in his mouth and put them back in the nest. Now, the eggs will hatch after about 2 days or so, at which time he continues to guard the nest until the fry are free swimming. Now, these guys don't really seem to predate on their babies, so you can leave the parents in the nest. The female really has nothing to do with rearing the young. It's all the male. And you'd need to feed the babies something pretty tiny, infusoria, microworms, things like that, until they get to an appropriate size. Now, another important thing when trying to breed these guys is to make sure you have a really tight-fitting lid, and that's because they need a layer of sort of warm, humid air at the surface of the aquarium in order for their labyrinth organ to properly develop. The labyrinth organ is what allows these guys to breathe some atmospheric air. And what it is above the gills there's a bunch of vascularized flaps that act as sort of like a large breathing surface. And you need to have some warm, humid air in order for that to develop properly. Now, what's also really interesting, and what I mentioned in the intro, is that these guys make noise. They make noise as part of defending their territory. They make noise as part of mating. In fact, the females will actually purr during spawning. And this is because they have modified tendons that act almost like guitar strings. They stretch and are plucked by the anterior rays and make a really cool noise. Now, it's not particularly loud. I wouldn't be able to hear it in my fish room, but if you had them in a quiet area of your house, it's pretty likely that after the lights go out, you'll be able to hear them make their sounds. These guys do best in a well-planted tank. They like a lot of cover, as you can tell by me having a difficult time keeping them in frame. They like a well-planted tank. They come from southern Vietnam, from a whole range of different collection points, but the one thing that they all have in common is that they're exceptionally still. These guys do not like flow, so you want to make sure you use very gentle filtration. Sponge is fine, or diffused hang-on back or canister. If you have too much flow, they're going to hide in areas that are quiet. They can take a range of temperatures from about 70 to 82, with mid 70s to high 70s being best. And all in all are just a super fun, peaceful addition to a nano aquarium. Thanks for watching. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my Tuesday tips or Sunday species spotlights. Make sure you stop by my Facebook as well as my website, MsJinx.com, where you can find my upcoming speaking engagements, my current stock list, and information on all things nano. As always, if you guys have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know below.